Okay, it's a Monday. Yeah, I think I got some paint on my face. Anyway, I'll show you what I did. Anybody interested? Okay, I pressure washed last week, so I went through and sprayed the inside of the car. I just used spray can paint. That's what I used on the Trans Am. If you go back, it was kind of bluish black. I don't know what happened. I looked it up online. I think these came black inside. I sprayed the intake, oil pan, water pump, timing cover, valve covers. I just went to Tractor Supply, Ford Blue. Actually, I looked it up in 1964 with a 289. It was black engine, but I got a 302, so I guess I can do whatever I want. I'm just going to use the same water pump, just hope it's okay. So I painted everything that's hooked to the engine blue. And these are like alternator brackets. I just painted them black. It's hard to tell out here. See, it's in the sun. This spot right here, I get the sun. Oh, here's two more things I forgot to paint. Just gonna paint them black. Anyway, I sandblasted these. They got a little bit of surface rust on it. I'm not sure what to do about it. Let's see, where is it? The timing marks. I'm just gonna spray it and yeah, we'll see what happens. That's just one coat. Again, I'm using the rust reformer. I paint everything that's black in rust reformer. So I used up 3 cans total. And I just sprayed everything. It's already dry. Need a battery tray. But man, it sure looks better. I just cleaned it up. I'm not trying to do a professional job here. I'm just throwing the car back together, get it so it's rolling. Okay, here's the gasket kit that came with the remanufactured engine. Okay. As I was taking the tape off, I noticed that some of these vacuum ports are plugged up. That one's fine. Look at that. It won't even go in. So I guess be careful. Make sure your vacuum lines are clear. Yeah, so I got to figure out which gaskets. I think that one goes there. This goes here. I think there's a gasket under here. So I got to pull this off. I mean, I don't have to, but I'm gonna. There should be one under and one over, I believe. I just made a plate and hit it. I think it's good. Like I said, I'm not going to switch it. Okay, well, before I start assembling this, you can see the timing mark right there and there are lined up. Now, what goes on right here right now, before you put anything on, is this. Stuck to my front oil slinger, they call it. So that's gonna go on right there. So I think that's top dead center. I mean, it lines up, but I'm gonna look into piston number 1. You can see in there, I don't know, the piston. Anyway, the piston's up, so that is number 1. I want to keep it on number 1. So these are the intake bolts, or I mean the timing cover. So I'm gonna, as I'm going, I'm just taking my time cleaning up parts. So you can see those must go through a water passage. So that's what I'm doing. I'm going through cleaning up my bolts, and I'm checking the threads, cleaning the threads. Oh yeah, and by the way, this is where the fuel pump rides. It's on an eccentric. See how it's higher on one side? The fuel pump arm is going to come in through here. Through here. Okay, the bolts you got to put on for the timing cover. Short, 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 short. And this one, this is holding the timing arm, whatever you call it. I can't think of the term. Timing pointer. Yeah, I'm using this stuff. I really like this stuff. I don't know if I can do this with one hand, so I'm going to put the camera down, but that's going to go on there. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out all these pieces here. I went back and looked at my pictures. Some of the bolts were missing. So I don't have that one or that one. I don't know where that one goes. This, if you have an alternator up here, this goes like that. The long ones, I'm going to put weather seal on there. You got this one here, weather seal, weather seal. Anyway, that's where I'm at. So I took all these pictures. And my hand's pointing to these two right here. So I go look at this other engine over here, the 289. And there's one here, but that one was missing. Maybe this is power steering. Look at this. Bunch of washers here. Again, I didn't touch any of this. But here's the difference if you got a generator versus an alternator. I could steal these. Yeah, I'm just taking my time. I think I had pulled the power steering out pump loose before. When I pulled the engine, I need to go back and see if I have a picture of how that hooks up. I think this one here must go in one of these holes. I need to go back and look at it. Yeah, this is why you gotta have pictures. That's the, I don't know if you can see with the glare, but that's the power steering. Looks like two bolts go here. I don't know where those are. This is the 289. This is an old picture. I think I need to change this. It's getting too short. That's what I use to clean all my small parts. I think I'll just keep this guard off of here. Because when it gets small, you only have that much area, but with this thing down and that off, I just cleaned off this old gasket material in like 5 seconds. thermostat gasket, I gotta trim it. Even though I trimmed the gasket, and now I stuck it on there, it's still hitting right where my thumb is showing. So I gotta trim some up here. Yeah, like I say, if you put this on now, I learned from prior experience. If you put this on before you put the water pump on, only so much, like, there's only like that much room. And what I can't remember is how this oil pump to the distributor goes in. Does it go like this? No, that's not right. It must, it must come up from the bottom. Can't go in like that, or can it? Anyway, I need to figure that out before I put the oil. I'm getting ready to roll it over. That's what I'm saying. I'm getting ready to put the oil pan on, but I realized I wasn't sure how this went. Yeah, well, I'm looking for an answer. Gotta put a gasket there. And a gasket there. Yeah, so I'm under 302. It doesn't show that rod, but it does show these parts. I don't think I have those. So anyway, I go to the 390, 428, and there it is. So I think it just drops down in. But I don't have those oil relief valve parts. But anyway, it goes like that. So the distributor's up here. Looking at this point. Interesting. Anyway, it drops in from the top. But man, I don't think I have those parts. You know, I don't know if they wanted it, but I might have gave it to them. So now I'm screwed. Yeah, I just don't not remember seeing those parts. That sucks. Yeah, reading this further. So this picture's deceiving. I think this goes down. I think this goes down here. So the reason I think that is because install the oil pressure relief valve plunger spring and a new cap. I think that's in here. So I'm okay. That's why I didn't find those parts when I took it apart. Yeah, lucky for me. Hard to take pictures, but I did take a picture of it. Yeah, anyway, I pulled the engine out a couple of months ago, and you forget. I don't care who you are, you're gonna forget unless you do it all the time. So I'll go put it together, and I'll show you. Okay, I got two gaskets. They were in the same bag as the oil pump. I remember now. But so which one is which? I think it's this one because that one doesn't really line up. I also note that this cap I was talking about, this flange here, is going to be over that cap so it can't pop out. Okay, I got it on. You know, I was just looking at this engine, and you see this stud right here? That is for a different oil pump, I think. The hump and if you want this over there, I think you hook here, because if I look at my picture, it doesn't have that. And check out the filter. I clean that really good. I clean the heck out of that. So now I got to put the gaskets on these seals, clean these edges up, and that's what I'll do next. It's got plenty of oil down here. By the way, look at the pistons. Look at the clearance. That's why I've got another engine, because that bore is freaking close. I could not have done that myself. And like I said, the engine shops are a month out. 2 months out. So what I'm seeing here is brand new pistons. If you see the camshaft down in there, they got that yellow, if you can see that. They got a assembly lube on there. I'm not saying this is a new cam though. Doesn't look like it to me. I don't know if you can see that. Anyway, let's try it again. That's not a new cam. Not sure what I'm looking at in this picture. I gotta put my finger in the way. Where am I? Oh, there's the cam down there. The other one. Anyway, here's another thing I noticed. You gotta cut that off. Anyway, I clean these surfaces with just whatever I had, carburetor cleaner on a rag. I just wiped it off. Sorry about the pictures. So let me cut those off. Okay, I cut them off. You know, actually that was the gasket that I put on with the timing cover. Anyway, it's all cleaned off. Let me see if I can find my gaskets over there. The reason I'm showing up, by the way, the reason I'm making this video is because I never bought a remanufactured engine before, but these seals here, make sure you push them in. Get that down in there. You see that right there? Anyway, you see what I'm saying? And this piece here goes down in a slot on both sides. So if you watched when I did the earlier video, when I put the 302 together, let's see, I bought a new oil pan. The gasket was wrong, but this one is good. Might have to cut that little tip off right there. I'm gonna have to. And probably right there. There's that groove I was talking about. Down in there. Okay, so I put the gaskets on, I trial fitted it. I had to cut the tabs off here, and I had to cut a little bit off this end on all of them. And then I also cut some of this extra gasket. It was that much. And I trimmed that side. So now that I know it fits, I'm just going to put something on here to hold this in place, to tack it on. That's why I like this. That's what I like about this stuff here. I'm not really using it as a seal, but more as a tack, so it doesn't slip around. Okay, I got the gaskets on. That seam where I cut the gasket off, I put a little bit right there. That's on this and this side. And then I put a little bit of silicone, RTV here. Oh, I forgot to do it there. Just, to me, this is the weakest spot, but I don't know. I'm just doing it. Okay, got the oil pan on. I took the time to go around and clean all these bolts. That's what takes the most time, is cleaning parts. Also, that little silicone I put squeezed out here, here. Here, and there. Yeah, torque specs. Oil pan, cylinder block, 10, let's see, 302, 10, I did 15 by mistake. Okay, I think I need to slow down and paint this engine block and these bolts. I'm just gonna paint it here. Why I can't say it. Because it's upside down, I won't get paint all over everything if I stay at the right angle. Because once I roll it over, I don't want to flip it again. Also, I think, let's see, where am I? I'm thinking about the, what am I thinking about? Oil pressure gauge. That goes right there. Fuel pump. I might as well put this stuff on, just be a bitch to get it in later. Yeah. So I'll put the, well, first I'll paint it, and then I'll have to let it dry overnight. But I put the oil pan plug, I don't want to forget that. What I think I do need is a new oil filter. Saw some other oil filters over here the other day. I thought, I don't see them now. Must have used it. Anyway, I need an oil filter. Gotta clean this. I gotta get those two bolts that go on the top of the timing cover. But first thing, clean this. I'm just wondering if I spray this with if I get some, here I am. If I spill some cleaning fluid on there, like brake fluid, that's all I got. Will that wipe out the paint? I think I'm gonna try it right here. I'll do it right at the end. Okay, well, I'll wait a little bit and see what happens. And the reason I'm doing this is the paint's still a little wet. It's been 2 days. Forgot to take this off. I don't know. Should I clean it or not? I'm gonna get a paper towel, clean, and see if anything comes off. It's pretty damn clean. I think it's okay. There's a little bit there. I think I'll just wipe it down with some, I'll just take the time. I don't want to do it because I'm impatient. Wax and grease remover, because I have it sitting right here. Okay, I'm gonna wait till tomorrow. It's too sticky. And I'll put the valve covers in the intake. Just depends how I feel, what I got to do. Damper, pulley. You got the exhaust. I'm not sure what to do about those. I might just spray them. And I got to clean. I found the fan that I forgot about. Fan, another pulley. I guess those are the two exhausts. Let's see what else I got to do. Still want to paint this. Want to paint that. Not sure where this goes because I cut this out. It was over in this area. If you watched that earlier video, I cut the air cleaner to get the distributor in. That was over here somewhere. I don't even know if I need it. So that's it for today. Oh, oil filter. Got to get an oil filter. Okay, it's the next day. These gaskets, if you look real close, it says head side, so make sure you read that. And also a weird thing is these head gaskets came with this little flap on here. I was going to cut them off, but that actually holds this on here. Same on this side. And then these are going to have to be trimmed a little bit. You can see they're just too long. I stripped off the tape that I had put on last night or yesterday. Yeah, I noticed one more thing. You see this gasket right here? So there's 2 sets of gaskets. I got one more over there. So there's 2 sets. So I almost screwed up here. Where do I put this down at? You see this gasket? It's not even touching right here. It's okay on one side. See, this one's okay. But this one is not. So let's switch, see what happens. Okay, so that's good. So watch out for that also. And again, I just put adhesive. I don't know if I forget what I said, but I put adhesive here. I'm going to put it thicker right at the weak spot, well, at least what I think is the weak spot. And anyway, that's what to watch out for these gaskets. Just want to see what's going on here. Yeah, this is just a different gasket. Let me look at this one more time. What is the difference here? So this here is a water passage, I think. Here and here. So maybe some of the engines had bigger water passages. Some of the 302s. Yeah, I just put a little bit more after I put that on there. Again, I use this stuff because it's sticky. Okay, I put the intake on. I forgot to clean the bolts up, but when I went to clean them, some are studs. I don't know what that means, but they're all the same length, I think. Let's go look at my 289. See what that looks like. Studs. Let's see. They got 3 marks on them. Look at the crap on there, boy. You can really see it when I put it on magnify. Yeah, I was just happened to see this. I was just talking about bolts a second ago. Use sealing washers and install the intake retaining bolts. So stuck these in. These seem to be locked in. I'm not going to switch them. I'll check the intake leaks later and oil leaks. And here's a weird one. I don't understand this. So these are torque limits. Manifold to cylinder head, intake, and exhaust. What the heck does that mean? Am I stupid? I guess I am. I don't know what that means. But anyway, I went around and torqued them 4 times. You know, I did it. I torqued it down once, then I did it again, and they kept finding loose. On the 4th time, they all torqued down right. It could have been because of these. I think these were flush before. Anyway, it's all good now. I also noticed this isn't painted right along here. I don't want to put on the valve covers yet. I want to put the oil pump rod in and prime it until oil comes up. The oil pressure gauge, any place of oil could squirt out. Yeah, I very rarely read instructions for some reason. But I was talking about the gaskets, the intake manifold gaskets. The smaller water jacket, I'm pretty sure these are the water jacket, are for 68 to 76. The bigger ones are 77 to 92. So make sure if you get a remanufactured engine, you tell them what size ports you have. So if you went back to my other, if you watch my other video, I had this on the, this is the oil pressure gauge, sending unit. I keep saying gauge, I meant sending unit. I'm thinking I cannot put this in because I'm not using those Chinese gauges. In other words, I'm using the gauge that's in the car. So I better go back to a stock gauge. The problem, a stock sending unit. The problem is this is the one that came out of the 302. The problem is I put this one in, it might be off 10, 15, 20. It depends on the resistance. I wonder if I can check the resistance. Let me try that. Some goop where I did. Yeah, let me check the resistance of these. See if they're different. Okay, so watch this. This is the Chinese gauge, or Chinese sending unit that came with the Chinese gauge. This is the one I think came out of the 302. This one looks similar to the one that's in the 289. So, I don't know if you can see, but I'm going to read it out. So the one that looks similar are about 1.6. The other one, again, I don't know why there's two wires, but let's go to the other one. What's going on here? Let me make sure this is clean. Touch it on the bottom. .9. Now the Chinese gauge. .3. I guess what I'm saying is, if you go buy a sending unit, you got to know what the specs are. I don't know how you do nowadays with these old cars, but so I'm not going to know what my oil pressure is. I mean, I need to buy a screw-in oil gauge. That's what I'm going to have to do. I'm also going to share this. So this is where it goes. But the fuel pump goes right here. So unless you have that socket, a deep socket, you can't get in there. So it's a good idea to put this on before you put in your fuel pump. But let me see if I have a socket that fits that. So yeah, I got a 1/16 socket on this side and a 1 inch on the other one. It doesn't fit that. So I had to use my channel locks. So this gasket kit they gave me does not have a fuel pump gasket, but this one looks fine. Yeah, I was looking at this box that the stuff came in. It's Field Pro 5.0, 4.7, 4.3, but see if I get a shot of this. Oh, Where's fuel? I know I said fuel. See, it says fuel filter bowl. What the heck's that mean? Yeah, it also, the remanufactured engine came with a gasket set and this braking oil, high zinc. So I just thought I'd mention that before I forget. Lucas, 30 weight engine braking, excellent protection for all flat tappet valve trains. Yeah, I guess I made a mistake. I've been trying to figure out, this is the oil pump that goes up to the distributor, oil pump rod. It's got to be put in from the bottom. I screwed up. So the way I figured it out was, when I dropped this in, well, let's put it this way. This magnet represents to here. So when I put it in, this is down inside of the, where the distributor slips in. I'll show you a picture of that in a second. That where the hole is, that flange thing I was showing you on the stick, on the rod, is at the bottom of that, not the top. So when you drop the distributor in, it goes into the hole, and that piece is sticking up, but not up past that, if that makes sense. Right down there. This flange, that's how it goes. Then the oil pump. Fits into there. But, so that solves that. That was no big deal because I did not put goop on this gasket. But the problem I have now is I can't remember what, I got to spin this to get oil to come up. But I can't remember how I did it. I thought I made a tool, but I can't find it. So the way this works, here's the distributor. You drop it in a hole, that goes, and this piece comes up and slides into there. So I need that piece to drop down in from the top to spin the oil pump to prime the engine. I know I did it, but I can't remember how. I thought I used this tool right here. This is a inside of an old distributor, but it doesn't go in. How did I do that? I'm gonna have to pull the distributor out of this other, I mean, I can either buy a tool, which I don't want to do, or I'll just yank this distributor out. See if this fits into the bottom of that distributor. If so, I'll just take it apart because this is points anyway. I'm not going to use points anymore if I rebuild this engine. So anyway, this rod fits in here. It turns the gear. See it? Fits in here. This is the one I just took out of the 289. And this is the one I used before. But it doesn't go in there. I don't understand. What the? You know what? I just don't understand what happened. So I need to take this gear off, which was a bitch. I think I'll just cut it off the grinder this time. And then I can't remember how I did it. But anyway, I'm gonna get that out of there. Getting old, I can't remember nothing. Okay, now that I got it apart, I figured out why. So here's the one I just took apart. It fits in. This one doesn't. I had to hit this with my hammer to drive it out to get those gears off. This must be mushroomed. If I just sand this outside edge, I'm gonna just try it. I think that's the problem. Yeah, that was the problem. Somehow it had got mushroomed. That one works. one works. Now I can put this back together. If I spin this, it'll spin the oil pump. The gears are gone, so it won't change anything. Counterclockwise. Get oil, all of them, and all of them over here. Yeah, here's that bolt I said is almost impossible to get in. That's why I try to put this on before you put this on. I mean, you can do it. The bolt comes out all the way to there. It's a bitch. Yeah, I was getting ready to, like I say, I'm tired, but I decided to check the oil. It's perfect. So tomorrow I'll put the valve covers on. I'm not sure what else right now. I'm just too tired to think. And I couldn't remember which way the distributor cap rotor spun. I mean, which way was I supposed to spin the oil pump? Was it clockwise or counterclockwise? But I had written it all down. Rotor spins counterclockwise. Again, you get old, you can't remember nothing. You think you can, but you can't. Yeah, it's the next day. I can't remember what I showed, but I got all these lifters by spinning by this old distributor part that I showed. All the lifters are oil came up, so it's prelude. I just put a metric socket on top of this fitting that you saw earlier. Again, this is next day, so earlier it's kind of confusing to me. But this sending unit that I was talking about, it just occurred to me that that sending unit is an on-off switch. So in the 64, this is an extra instrument panel that came with one of those cars I got. But so that oil sending unit is just the light is either on or the light is either off. Same with the generator. And I'm getting rid of the generator, but the light is either on or the light is either off. So I guess the point I'm making is that is not, well, that'll work for this, but that's not what I want. I think I can put another oil, I think I could put an oil sending unit over here. I'm not sure how to tell without trying it. Yeah. And this dash is wasted. So eventually this dash is gonna have to come out. Yeah, I never even noticed how bad that was. Anyway, I'm working on the engine. I just wanted to point this out. I can now put on the valve covers. Make sure when you, the other issue I ran into that I wasn't sure about, when you spin the oil pump, do you spin it clockwise or counterclockwise? Well, I think I might have talked about that too. So that's how that works. But again, just looking at this right now, what is that? I'm thinking about this. What is that? I'm looking for a certain tool. I don't know what that is. It doesn't go through. Just thinking. Again, I'll probably, these videos are not that easy to make. But, yeah. I'm just wondering about, let's see, let me put the engine in. I think this hole right here, again, I haven't put this car together for a while. This, which is part of the shifting linkage, which I can't show you right now. And then the linkage pops into that hole. And you got to make sure you get this in before, right at the right time. I hope I remember. And I can't remember how you do it. Let's see. I guess it's a deep hole. You slip the linkage in first and then screw it in. I guess that's how that works. Let me just leave that there for now so I don't forget to put this in. Also, the water temperature that I have on here is, I guess I just said it, but I want to say it again. This is not an on-off. But it won't. It doesn't mean it'll work with this gauge. That's the problem, as I was showing yesterday. You got to, when you put gauges in, you have to use the right sending units that match. But trying to find them for old cars is almost impossible. I don't know what that is right there. Don't know. Yeah, I'm just gonna let you know a little bit more information. I don't know what that was. So I primed it yesterday. I just primed it again today. So it doesn't. If you do this, don't be. It's not all of a sudden going to start. Oil's going to start coming out. So I just did it. It took like 20 seconds, I guess. And the last one to come up was this one. So some will come sooner than others. Let me see if I can show this. So I'm holding this. I'm going to go counterclockwise. I don't know if you can see that. So it's good. Yeah, I don't know what that was. It's like a piece of material. Wasn't anything hard. So anyway, the point is I can put the valve cover on now. I only work a certain amount of hours every day because I'm old. And then in my videos, I might make mistakes. Like it totally flew over my brain that this is the wrong sending unit to work with gauges. But basically, if you see a gauge that looks like this, it's going to be an on-off light. But if you see ones that look like this shape, the chances are that is going to be for a gauge, this big bulky part. Oh yeah, and by the way, this just happens to be, this metric 15 socket. Just happens to fit right over the end of this. That's how I was able to turn it. You just kind of tap it on there. Yeah, I sprayed the edge where it wasn't painted. Sprayed the bolt heads. Sprayed right here. Anyway, I just wanted to do that before, because once I put the valve cover on, I couldn't get underneath the valve cover. Okay, it's painted. I think now I'm going to put it on the, I think I am going to put it on the run stand. I think I'm going to put the transmission on too. Okay, I'm picking the 289 off. Take my engine mounting stands off. I got this one on here. There's the 289, there's the 302. I need this lifting plate, then I'll put it on and set it in. Yeah, I just noticed these hold down studs. This is probably, I think I got to take these studs off of here and switch with those. I mean, I can't put my plate on. I can't tighten my plate down, and I think they'll be in the way of the carburetor anyway. Yeah, they come out pretty easy with a vice grip. These two are loose. This one is pretty tight, and that one's tight. This wasn't enough, there wasn't enough below the thread to grab it with vice grips, and these suckers are tight. Okay, I got them off, but I didn't need to take them off. I screwed up again. Here's the ones that came out the 302. Here's the ones that came out of here. Same length. I forgot I had this big spacer. Stupid me. Yeah, also I just noticed there's different threads. So this is fine, this is rough. So if you order any, make sure you you get it like that. This gasket's no good, so I need new gaskets. Nope. Yeah, this may sound trivial, but when you put your lifting plate on, make sure you put it the same way you're, not, in other words, not like that, not like that, but like that, or else the engine will just go twist. Yeah, that's if you don't want it to twist, but that's the way I want it to go in, just like that. Last time I put the plate sideways, the other way, and I had to try to hold the engine while I was lowering it. It was a real pain. Bolt this piece on, then slip this on off the ground. Yeah, see, now I just slipped that off, and all I gotta do is take that plate off. Yeah, I made some videos about that. 289 is a 64 and a half, I think. So the 64 and a half is a different bell housing, and I'll show you. Watch this. These two bolts right here. This just came off of here. I take it over to this other engine. See, it doesn't line up. So if you do a 302 swap, like I did, you have to get a bell housing that matches that. The C4, if you have a C4, it'll still bolt up. But anyway, if you get what I'm saying, you go back and watch a video on it. If you do a swap. If I can show this, watch the bottom two. I just showed the top two, but watch the bottom two. Same thing. So I'm just going to put this on here because I want to get this engine off the tire. So I just have to loosen these and adjust it. Also, on the right is the 302. They're bigger. On the left is the 64 and a half or 65 and under. You put these things on, just try to center. And that way your engine will be level. You can adjust it later, but that's a really good starting point. Usually works. Okay, it's on there. It's just temporary because I got to put the I'm gonna put the transmission on, but not today. But I'm gonna pick that up and stick it on the engine stand. You know, when I get this in the car, I've been curious. You see, I don't know if you can see the way it looks like the engine's tilted down, the exhaust. But up here, it even wants to tilt further. So I'm just wondering if the carburetor is level in the car. You would think it would be because of the float bowl. We'll check that when I get the engine in and the transmission. Okay, I got it on there. Just looking at my mounting holes. They pretty much stay the same and the level, engine's level. So now I'm gonna take that plate off, put it back on there for next week. Okay, I got the plate back on. I gotta remember to take this up to the house. I guess I need two, one on the bottom of that plate and one on top. I'm old. After 3 or 4 hours, I'm dead, but I gotta clean this up. Okay, I cleaned up. I put all the tools away, that stuff kind of goes on the engine maybe. But I found these. I think I remember I pressure washed these. So I'm just gonna blow them off and spray paint them so they're ready for next week. Yeah, that's my problem. I'm too old and I keep going, one more thing. But I'm already exhausted. But it pays off because now I don't have to wait on Monday for it to dry.